Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Tech Gamers World. I've got something really cool for all my fellow Star Trek fans out there. This is a Star Trek Classic Communicator talkback toy, originally made in 1996. Now this was made by Playmates toys under license from Star Trek and Paramount Pictures. Now I picked this up at a garage sale for 50 cents. The lady who sold it to me said it doesn't work. You push the button, it doesn't actually record anything other than some static. So we're going to take this toy apart, do some restoration work on it, and see if we can get it working. As always, please click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay everyone, welcome back. So as I was saying in the introduction, this is a Star Trek Classic Communicator playback toy from 1996. This was originally made by Playmates Toys under license from Paramount Pictures. As we can see here, this device is in pretty good condition. I picked this up at a garage sale for 50 cents, and the lady who sold it to me says it doesn't work. So I push the button and it's supposed to record and then play back when you push this. All it does is static. So there's a couple reasons why that could be, which we're going to see if we can find out. So looking at the device, it looks to be in really good condition. There are some dings and the paint is faded, scratched. It's missing some paint in some spots. I can tell that this was played with pretty extensively, which is great because that's what they were made for. So we're going to take this apart and see if we can make this work. If you flip it, it flips like it's supposed to. This part stays up, which is great. So the internals look to be okay. Could just be an electronic issue. Or if we're lucky, it's just bad batteries, old batteries. So let's find out. So to take this apart, there's a couple of screws, two on the top, one here that holds the battery casing shut. So let's see what we can do here. Got my trusty Hyper Tough electronics repair tool set here. As well as I have it, I already have a flathead. So we're going to open this up and see about getting these batteries out. So as you can see, I'm just unscrewing the bottom part here. Pop the screw, put it over there, and we'll pop the case off to expose the batteries. So we've got some old Energizer batteries in here. I'm going to go ahead and just pop these out, throw them away, and let's see what's holding this shut now. So there actually is more screws than I thought. There are two underneath the AAA battery right here and two on the top. So we're going to go ahead here and unscrew all those. So it looks like for that we're going to need a pretty small Phillips head. So let's go ahead here and put that one back. And we'll use a PZ0 will probably work. And pop that screw out. Got one. Now you want to be super careful when you're taking these toys apart, because if you strip or break the screws or any of the casing, it may not go back together again the way you'd want it to. So I'm actually struggling with that one a little bit. Some of these screws, they get pretty old and they've been sitting for a long time. You're going to run into issues where you can't unscrew some of them, like this one here. It's giving me a definite hard time. So we'll work on it and see what we can do. Go ahead here and just get that other screw out. So this screw is definitely stuck, but I think I got it. Good, I did. I've had sometimes break these to get them out, and I hate having to do that. All right. So let's see what happens here. If I'm right, this back should just pop off. And it does. So in looking at the inside here, it's actually kind of dark. Let me get my flashlight turned on here. All right, so I went ahead and got some more light here. So here's what we're looking at. We've got the communicator toy split apart. As you can see, this is the back side. Here we've got the speaker that is actually loose, very loose in there. I'll probably take a look at that. We can see all the wiring connected. You can see the sound synthesizer board on here. So how these devices work is they record sound. Now, you think that they're recording your voice. They're not actually recording your voice. They are recording the sounds that they hear from the environment around it. It's called a sound synthesizer card. Basically takes analog sounds, converts them to digital, stores them on modules, on circuit boards like these, or on here, and then basically plays it back upon command. Now, older and newer devices, you see these all the time still. They work the same way they did 30 plus years ago when they first started showing up in toys. They record little snippets of sound. When you let go of the button, they stop recording, and then you can play it back, but it can only record and store one sound entry, let's call it, at a time. So that's how this particular device works. Now, the particular problem with this one is the sound was all static. So in looking at it, functionally it looks okay. This device here is actually loose. So I'm pretty curious as to why that is. I'm going to go ahead and take this piece of tape off here and see what's going on. The tape is totally shot, as you can see here. There's nothing left of it, no tape. I find it hard to believe that they would tape the device down in. Somebody may have opened this to fix it and just taped it to make it work, because I don't see any way to hold it in place. Now, it's possible there could have been a mount for this. I'm not going to go crazy on it. I'm just going to retape it down again, but I'll try and do a little better job. Got some handy invisible tape here. I'm just going to go ahead and place a piece across it, tape it down. And for good measure, I'll put a couple of pieces. Now, this could have come loose because a toy like this was dropped. So let's be realistic. This toy was meant to be played with. It wasn't meant just to be looked at. So the person who was playing with it could have just dropped it, and that's what in turn caused it to break out of its housing, and which is why the speaker was loose. Now, this particular toy is not going to be used by any kids. It's just going to be a decorative piece for my toy collection of Star Trek and Star Wars toys. So, that should do a little better. All the other tape in here looks to be okay. The devices look good. The wiring looks good. Nothing I would need to change. The soldered pieces all look good. The rolling part up here looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and put this device back together. And we'll put some new batteries in it and see how it works. So let's go ahead here and get the screws back in. And let's see, put some new batteries in and see how the device works. Now, if it doesn't work, then I might need to consider replacing the speaker. Now, to do that on a device like this can be kind of a pain, because you don't exactly go to your local store, see these devices anymore, and just pick up a new one. So I could do one of two things. I could order a comparable size speaker from the internet, order a, one of these devices, want somebody that somebody owns from like eBay, Amazon, something like that. But I don't want to pay money for something I'm just going to take apart. So I'm going to try and just see how this holds up. And I have a feeling that when I put in new batteries, that this should just work. So I'm going to go ahead here and magnetize this battery. If you've never seen one of these before, this is really cool. It's a magnetized demagnetizer. If you want to magnetize something, you just rub it in here, and the screw is now magnetic. And it makes it that much easier to install. As you can see, it went right in and is nice and tight. I'm going to go ahead and do this one. For good measure, I'll do the same thing. As you can see, it's now sticking to the screwdriver. So we'll go ahead here and screw this in. All right. Now, we've got our device back together. Flips open, flips closed. So let's go ahead now and put some new batteries in. It looks like this device took AAA, so as luck would have it, I've got 3 AAAs laying here. I always take out what kind of batteries I think I'm going to need for a project. So I always will have AAA, AA, C, D, whatever I need. All right, so we've got the batteries in. Flip this up. Now, to record, you press the left button. The right is playback, so if we hit this, beam me up, Scotty. Okay, so as you can see, you probably can't even hear it. It's just playing nothing but static, which unfortunately means that the speaker is broken in this particular device. So I'm going to have to go ahead and find a new speaker, which means there will be a part 2 of this video. But at least now we know what the issue is. And I'm glad I did not overpay for this device because I only paid 50 cents for it. Gonna go ahead here and just reassemble. Now, if you're like me and you're a collector of all things Star Trek, Star Wars, you're gonna want this device to work. If you're just an average collector and you don't care if the device is functional, you just like the aesthetic value of the device, then don't bother fixing it. Just make it clean it up, make it nice and clean, look good, and just place it in your collection. I mean, a device sitting like this in your collection looks cool, regardless of whether or not it's, actually working. Because you're not going to be touching it anyway, unless someone actually wanted to see it or anything like that. So, but I like to have all my devices working, so I'm going to go ahead and find the speaker for this and go ahead and replace it. So that's it for this video. Unfortunately, I couldn't get this device to work, but there will be a part 2. So if you could stay tuned, as always, to my channel, please click that like button, subscribe to the channel and enable notifications, because when I drop my next video fixing this Star Trek Communicator toy, you'll be alerted right away so you can watch it and find out what happens. Thanks a lot, everybody, and I will see you around. Have a good one.